What's going on, traders? Going 6 for 8 today. And again, the live trades, I feel like trading this way is going to take too long. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a recap. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Always appreciate that support. I know a lot of you watching the videos are not subscribed. That's because the analytics tell me so. So if you could just take a quick second to hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And if you want, you can hit the little bell thing and it'll let you know every time I upload one of these recaps. So gonna start from the beginning here, as always, on RANI, and this one was a pretty good one right out of the gate. You can see at the bell, previous resistance down here at that 1060, 1070 area. Nice move up through 11. We ended up getting short on this one at 1120 ish, 1125 actually. Came back down, gave us a nice little move back down through 11, testing that previous resistance. So we took it off, and as you can see, it did decide to continue lower before ultimately going back towards the highs. Second trade was LQDA. We ended up taking 3 trades on this, so we'll go ahead and just do all 3 real quick. A little bit grindy here to start, but was paying attention to the extension. It finally made a decent little move. It tried to go up through 7, and as you can see, we ended up taking a short here at 696. I think the highest it got was like 703. So we grabbed this on the way down and was a little frustrated that we didn't get anything here. We were looking for closer to 650. But when it did decide to pop up, we basically said, okay, we'll get an ad here as close to 7 as possible. If it wants to go high of day, we'll just take it off for a small loss. Because we had a pretty good average. And it did try a couple times to get back up through 7, but ultimately ended up failing. Took half off here at VWAP around that 650 area. What did we get? 670 actually. I was looking for 650 at least, and maybe even closer down to this previous resistance around 6 or even 625 here. But obviously this thing had other plans and decided to move higher. Totally forgot about it. Came back up on the scanners, just like I find all my trades off the scanners. And we got a nice little move up here towards 8. Pretty decent move. You can see previous resistance all the way down here. It kind of started making new key areas here. We got like 715, and then we got closer here to 750, and decided to make a nice move up to 8. And again, was looking for through 8, but it decided to not want to get up through 8 until after we got in. Tried to go up through 8 after that, obviously looking to scale into this if we had to. Came back down, decided to take all of it this time because it was really struggling to come down. And what do you know it, right after we took it off, this thing decided to go crazy again. Draw another line at 8 here, which was now the new high, and it actually makes a decent move. A little bit sad I didn't start this with a little bit more size, because these two were meh trades, right? This is the trade that we actually look for. But I came in today telling myself that I was going to start everything really small because I really want to focus on execution. And so I'm not mad that we didn't make more on this one. Just a little bit sad because in hindsight, this was one of the more A-type setups. It did try to go higher after we got in, was looking up through 9 or at least around 9 for an ad. Didn't quite get it. And as you can see, it kind of went sideways. I basically told myself it was putting in, if we scroll in really far, you can see 855, 855, 855, and 854. But at this point, I realized there was a big seller sitting here at 855. So I decided to add at 843, saying if it wants to break 855, that's going to be our stop. Because up until this point, my stop was high of day. I didn't have a reason to change it. But at this point, it was pretty obvious that there was somebody sitting there at 855. So 856, and I'm out. But it kept going to 855, 855, and decided to hold. So we decided to add, looking for the move down. Got a decent little move down. I started to get bought back up. Took half off there. Same stop, 856, and was really looking for the move back down to this previous resistance of 8. And we put an order out, I think, at 8:09 or something, and it kept trying to get there but couldn't. And so we ended up taking it off at 8:14. And of course, right after that, it decided to die. So is what it is on that one. ALT. This was the frustrating trade of the day. It was quite the battle. Not a great first entry. Purely in. Just looking for the extension away from previous resistance to be retested. So when we got in this at 16, we were looking for this 1550 area to get retested. Decided to go higher. Got an add in. Took half off. Looking for, is that right? Okay, so we did a 1-2. We did 25 and then 50. Got our average up pretty decent. It came pretty much right down to our average. I think we took these off for a little bit of a win. I think our average was over 1650 at this point. So I think we took a little win there for half, but we were obviously still looking for that bigger pullback, right? I was looking for 1550. And so it decides to just grind higher. I'm very patient. And I told myself this is what I'm going to do if we get caught in, not caught, but if we're in a little bit more of a grinder that hasn't pulled back, I'm just going to wait for those key areas, the half dollars and the whole dollars. I typically like to see them get broken. I like to add on the other side of them and then see if that ends up working out. Obviously, if it's going straight up, that's a different story because then I'm going to be looking for a jiggle. But on something that's kind of grinding and we're not exactly sure when the top's going to be the top, I'm probably going to just be looking to add at these key areas. So at this point, we were kind of off size on the shares at 37 shares. And so we added those half back, which were 38. And then that gave us like 60, 65, right? Or 75, 75. And so here, or it was 76 actually. So we had 38 left. I added 38, which gave us 76. And then I just added this 24, thinking this might be the backside because it did try to reject that high again, just to even us out at 100, just to make putting the orders out a little bit easier. However, right after that, we actually finally got like a decent little candle and a move. So on the way up, we get the move up through 18. I add 100 there, basically doubling our size. And then it tried to go a little bit higher, rejected that half dollar, and we added another 100 on the way back down. So we ended up with 300 shares here. And as we came back down, these, I believe our average was like right around here. I'm pretty sure we took the first 100 off for a loss, like a very small loss. Then we took these 100 off. Maybe I took off more than 100. Took off 200 here. Maybe it was for a small win. I don't remember. You can watch it. You can go back and watch this live. I'll have the unlisted live stream in the comments again. And then I believe we took off 75% here. I'm pretty sure these were red. It was small red. Maybe it was 100. It had to be 200 there. So maybe it was a small red on these. And then this brought us green, I believe, like small green. But then all the way down here, 1715, we still had 25 shares. Our average was like 70. It was 78 or something like that. And I remember saying, oh man, we actually gave back like 25, 30 bucks on this one. So I was kind of sad because I let this run all the way back up and I was just using 18 as my stop. So as you can see, it got the 70.99. I think I manually hit it at that point. I don't remember exactly what I did, but I know I took a loss on these, which ended up bringing us back red, even though it was pretty small. But we were down quite a bit in this one, and I wasn't too happy about it because we were down, I want to say it was like 130 bucks before we even added these shares. So I wasn't exactly a fan of necessarily being that far down to end up with, this kind of a trade. I mean, as you can see, this thing gave us a decent little pullback after it tried to go higher because it shot up, was a pretty clear fake out breakout. Thought about jumping back in, but I didn't. But I'm a little just sad. I do feel pretty good about starting as early as I did on a grinder and being able to turn it into a scratch trade. I would say even 2 days ago when I was trading the other way, that wouldn't be the case. I would have probably got stopped out at some point on the way up here because I would have added these same ones, but they would have been like a 112 full size. And then when it made this 18 run, I might have been at max sauce. I don't know, obviously, but I do feel that if I was bigger size and, adding as I normally would, this probably could have been bad pretty quickly. And then obviously would have, I don't know if I would have revenge traded or what, but I like to think that I wouldn't. But anyways, that was alt and on to on. This one was a pretty good one as well. Previous resistance down here, you can see it was from yesterday's high as well as the beginning of intraday. Decent little move up here towards 69.50. Look to get short on the backside there, trying to come back down after it made this high. I got filled at 69.57. Does try to go up through 70. Obviously wasn't going to add until we got up through there. It starts to come back down. And basically, I think it was a 63 or whatever. I didn't get an ad. So I told myself if it was just going to level out here, I didn't want to let it go all the way back to the highs to stop me out. So it was basically just using the top of these candles. And as you can see, it started to go higher. So we took it off. However, I noticed that it rejected, right? I noticed it rejected there. It tried to go a bit higher again, and it looked like it was going to break this 50 area again. So we jumped in looking for that area to break, and it did. So we ended up making back our small loser, and we ended up gaining some. A little sad I didn't hold for that previous resistance because I mean it almost always seems to go to that. In this case, it actually went even a little bit further to VWAP, so um, it worked out. And then I believe was that our last trade. Oh, GOCO. That's right. I can't forget GOCO, the penny stock. This one actually made a nice little move off the scanner, as everything is. And this decided to make a decent little move up towards a dollar. Started to reject. Could have took this off. Just 150 shares, nothing special. Was just looking for it to come down and retest that 85 area. It tried 89. It got to 89. I was sitting at I think 86 with my order. Didn't quite get there, and then all of a sudden it took off. It went right up to a dollar and basically started to get stuffed at a dollar. Added there because I didn't want to miss the ad at this point. But then it went up through, and I was a little sad I didn't add the 112 here. But in my head, I told myself I was going to do a lot of 1-2s today. So in my head, adding before the whole dollar break here, and then on the other side, that was kind of my 1-2. However, it kind of put us at a weird spot because it put our average right at a dollar. It was like 9.998 something. So ended up having to be a little bit more patient. I think we only took 150 off here on the first one, and then another 150 as it kept dropping. And then, so we still had 150. I took off, I think half, yep, 75. And then we finally got the real nice drop where we took the other 75 off, which ended up being a pretty decent trade. Ended up being our biggest win on the day. We even beat LQDA where we had 3 separate trades. This was all just one single trade, and it was a nice move. So once where we get like this, I have no problem trying to build a little bit of size into these. And that's kind of what I'm working on. That's the whole point of doing what we're doing right now, is taking that little bit step back with the size, is to start executing. I want to start being able to take these trades. Like a lot of times this GOCO trade will stop here and go down, but I wouldn't have taken it because I would have been looking for my first entry to be up here. Well, guess what? If I would have waited for my first entry to be up here and I still take 150 shares, I'm still making the same amount that I made doing it this way, right? Same with LQDA. The first 2 trades on LQDA, I probably don't take these. I probably just wait for this last one. And maybe I make, I don't know, like if I'm trading the size, it would be like $15. Well, guess what? I ended up taking 3 trades on this, making $23. And then you're always going to have outliers like alt, where this thing just kind of grinds and grinds and grinds. But if I were to trade this normal size, like I said, we could have ran into some max loss problems pretty early, getting too big too fast. But this allowed me to stay in the trade, waiting for that actual pullback that I always seem to get stopped out right before it happens, and end up with a break-even trade that could have been a really nice trade. Had this faded from this point, instead of having to go back to high of day and stop me out first before fading, that could have been a really good trade. And we would be at gold today. We would probably be at around $100 because that would have been a $30, $40 trade the other way. So is what it is. I mean, I don't think I take this trade normally. I mean, maybe, but I don't think so. Just wasn't really that fast. RANI, I do believe I always take this trade. So that was a nice one. And yeah, that's all I got. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. Like I said, I'm pushing forward. I'm trying to just visualize what I'm seeing and put it into action. And it's worked the last 2 days. I love trading. So being able to have more executions, it's nice. I actually feel like I'm doing something instead of just sitting here being pissy all day that I'm waiting for the perfect setups, and we're making money. So as long as this keeps happening, I'm going to kind of keep going in this direction. And if I know that I can play alt the way that I did, it makes me very confident that pretty much anything can pan out the correct way. So I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to be 100% win rate. Obviously, I've taken a lot of losses. I had 2 losses today. I had 3 losses yesterday, but they're all smaller. I'm recognizing what's working. I take a nibble at a chart. If it decides to keep going and become better, I can add size looking for a nice win. But if it's something that just doesn't do what I wanted to do, I just cut it and it's a small loss. Where before, if I got into something, I'm taking full size. If I wait for that small loss, it's actually a little bit of a bigger loss because I was full size. So I'm kind of liking it. I'm not trying to say this is the holy grail. It's not. There's no such thing, but we'll see how this goes moving forward. I'm going to trade like this for the rest of the month and see where it takes us. And hopefully, I think I was looking at it earlier, we're like $150 away from all-time highs. So hopefully next week we can get back to those all-time highs on the equity curve. which I'm planning on making a video, I think tomorrow, just kind of showcasing where we're at overall. And so look out for that. And I will see you guys Monday morning. Have a good weekend and peace out.